Hey guys, Lewis here. Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Effect. Now, the last episode of Nerd Effect, we covered everything we know so far about the Andromeda initiative. In this episode, we're going to be focusing on the ARC species, the ones that we already have met so far. And these are the species that have come from the Milky Way galaxy to Andromeda to explore and find a new home for themselves. So, multiple advanced civilizations have made the journey from the Milky Way galaxy to Andromeda. Let's start off with the Asari. This is going to be mostly data on the biology, culture, and the history of the Asari species, and most of this should be general review. But for those of you who do not know about the Asari, let's dive right in. Let's start with Asari history. Archaeological evidence showed that the abundant Thessian resources and their natural tendency to cooperate helped ancient Asari develop city building, writing, and agriculture unusually early on. The tone of research papers suggests this is a point of pride for Asari scholars. After studying a number of Prothean ruins and developing their space program, Asari astronauts found their way to the Citadel, the most advanced station in the Milky Way, deserted since the Prothean extinction. Later, when Solarian explorers reached the station, the Asari proposed a joint government, eventually known as the Citadel Council. The Asari have played a fundamental role in galactic politics ever since. Asari commandos served with distinction in the Rachni Wars, despite heavy losses, and Krogan occupation of the Asari colony Lucia was the tipping point for the Krogan rebellions. In recent years, the Asari have devoted themselves to a diplomatic service, including helping to negotiate the 2157 Human-Turian ceasefire. Yeah, so in this particular cycle of life in the Milky Way, the Asari was the first species to find the Citadel, and it was developed in a way where all the relays for the major life at the time to reach the Citadel early on, and it's all part of the Reaper's design. And the reason why they were able to develop so much of their technology, their culture so early on is partly because of the Protheans, which kind of did their own version of a uplifting program for the Asari, kind of groomed them to prepare them for the cycle, but they didn't really know about that. Let's move on to general Asari knowledge. With the Asari, they are renowned for their long lifespans, biotic abilities, and diplomatic nature. The Asari were one of the most influential species in the Milky Way. Asari explorers were the first to discover the immense Citadel Station, and it was the Asari who first proposed the creation of the Citadel Council. Asari are monogendered. Their unique physiology allows them to reproduce with any species via a form of parphogenesis, passing on genetic traits to their daughters. Almost all Asari are biotic, and the control over their nervous system allows them to hone their powers to heights few other species can match. An Asari can live for over 1,000 years, passing through life stages referred to as maiden, matron, and matriarch. Asari matriarchs are ancient and respected, often holding immense cultural and economic power, though no such framework exists in the Helios cluster. Now, if I recall, the general lifespan of Asari can reach up to 1,000 years, and they do pass through the distinctive three stages. Maiden, they're young, they want to explore everything. Matron, they're kind of at the point where they're, settling down. And matriarch, where they're more of setting themselves as like leaders for a subset of group, whichever they want to dedicate themselves to. And this long lifespan kind of helps them just experience so much, and because of their unique ability, they can learn and understand so much of other species. So I wonder how this is going to play a role in the Helios cluster. Like, maybe the Asari stands the best chance to translate for us. Let's move on to Asari culture and society. The Asari come from Thessia, whose vast element zero deposits form the basis of the most powerful economy in the Milky Way. Living in small city-states, the natural Asari tendency to cooperate led the loose conglomerate known as the Asari Republics. Government operates as an e-democracy. Policy discussions take place over the extranet and are open to all. decisions are made by consensus or with the advice of politically minded matriarchs. The Asari military is relatively small and informal, but no less lethal. Small units of volunteer Asari commandos, also known as huntresses, handle peacekeeping operations in Asari space, and were among the first council specters. Their 1,000-year lifespan gives most Asari a long view of events, investments, social programs, and environmental policies trend toward long-term rather than short-term rewards. This approach drew many Asari to the Andromeda initiative, undaunted by the century-long journey. Again, the Asari have many unique positives for something like the Andromeda initiative, because they are more long-term minded rather than short-term, and their unique abilities give them a very flexible situation to work with. Let's move on to the Asari biology. Though they appear feminine to many species, Asari are a monogendered species. During reproduction, they provide two sets of genes to their daughters in the form of parthenogenesis, with the second set modified by contact with a partner. During Asari melding, an Asari attunes her nervous system to her partner, giving and receiving electrical impulses through the skin until the two briefly become one unified nervous system. This fine control over their nervous system contributes to the Asari talent for biotics. Few species can train the level of control that most Asari have by nature. Since joining the Citadel, Asari prefer to mate outside their own species, claiming that this fosters development and understanding. It also reduces incidents of Yakshi, pure-blooded Asari who suffer a dangerous genetic disorder. If Asari are compatible with life in Andromeda, that would prove several theories about the fundamental building blocks of life. Again, this points back to the whole Asari have a unique advantage in that they are very malleable in terms of many parts of their biology. And it's already been said that they prefer to mate outside their own species because of the genetic disorder of the Yakshi, which is a pure-blooded Asari. It's generally frowned upon because these Yakshi tend to have very violent tendencies or possibly even very detrimental effects, like their melding can possibly cause the death of another person or another being. So that is something that they have to consider. Once again, they are a very long-term species with a very long-term view on things. So that's pretty much the Asari in a nutshell. And the only other species that we've encountered so far is, of course, humans. And the only other Asari we've seen was the doctor aboard the Hyperion. So this is going to be the data on the biology, culture, and history of the human species, at least in the Mass Effect universe. The System Alliance is a supranational government that spearheads human space exploration and settlement in the Milky Way. The Alliance is responsible for the governance and defense of extrasolar colonies and stations and officially represents humanity on the Citadel Council. The Alliance was founded out of necessity, as no single nation could fund and manage the rapid expansion of humanity from Sol. The discovery of Prothean ruins on Mars had proven that alien contact was inevitable, earning international support for the Alliance that solidified after Alliance forces liberated Shanxi in the First Contact War. Archetype extranet articles and Gian Garson's staff bulletins revealed tensions between the Alliance and the Andromeda Initiative. Construction of dreadnought-sized ships and persistent rumors of AI development, which could have damaged humanity's standing on the Citadel, led the Alliance to demanding to oversee the Initiative's labs and shipyards. Negotiations continued until the day of the Initiative's departure. Humanity is relatively new to the galaxy, or at least in the Milky Way, when they first discovered life other than humans. And the System Alliance, again, is a government system as well as its own military, wanted to play nice, basically. Not, just completely cow over to all the demands of aliens and the Citadel Council, but enough to make that humans want to be a part of this, and they're willing to do what is necessary in order to ensure that. AI development being very illegal due to the situation with the Geth, and also I believe there was a mission in the first Mass Effect game where a VI training program on the moon slaughtered a bunch of Alliance Marines. So that's kind of why the Alliance would have tensions with the Andromeda Initiative then. Now the human N7s. The most respected System Alliance officer training is awarded through Interplanetary Combats Training, ICT, at the Villa Militare in Rio de Janeiro. Candidates at the Villa are initially given 20-hour training missions to lead teams through hostile terrain on little food or sleep. Trainees who do well are awarded an internal designation of N1 and are invited to return. Subsequent courses N2 through N6 are often held off-planet and include instruction in zero-G combat, military freefall parachuting, jetpack flight, combat diving, combat instruction, linguistics, and frontline trauma care for human and alien biology. The highest grade of training, N6, provides actual combat experience in conflict zones throughout the galaxy. If the trainee survived these scenarios in admirable and effective fashion, he or she finally receives the coveted N7 designation. N7 is the only ICT designation that may be worn on the field or dress uniforms. N7 being pretty much the highest honors you can have in the training program, Commander Shepard being one of them, Alec Ryder also being another N7 of note, but he was dishonorably discharged due to his illegal AI research. And that's pretty much it for the ARC species, although I'm sure that the Turians and Solarians and maybe even Krogans are included later on, but we'll have to read those when we come across them. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode of Nerd Effect. I hope you guys enjoyed the reading, and I hope you learned something new as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.